Hello everyone, Lo-Fi here, and welcome to my video, The Dwarves of Magic the Gathering. A look into the many dwarves of Magic the Gathering. Dwarves are one of my favorite fantasy races, and they're also one of my favorite tribes of magic. So, what is a dwarf? Some of you may not know, or you might just need a refresher. Dwarves are shorter folk, stocky, who are mostly known to live in mountains, caves, and mines, underground. They are renowned smiths and amazing crafters. In most fantasy media, the dwarves are a mix of friendly or a bit off-putting, but still neutral enough. We are into like trading businesses and all that fun stuff. But let's get to work on this. And to start, we are heading to one of my favorite planes, the plane of Lorwyn. Now, Lorwyn is a twisted and dark plane. It's very fantasy-like, based mainly on the Brothers Grimm, the more dirty, dark, and horrifying fairy tale, which we can see in its dwarves, the Drudgers. The Drudgers, as you can see, li- live deep underground, so deep, in fact, that a lot of people on the plane don't even know they exist. They they're so dedicated they can work to a single task for decades. And while some do go out to the surface and open, they're guarded. They're usually the more fat and bigger ones that can't squeeze into the tunnels and are more like defensive guards. Now, they didn't exist in Lorwyn before the Greater Wara, so as of right now we don't know their fate. But I'm hoping when we do eventually return to the plane, we get to see more Drudgers. And next, my friends, we go to perhaps one of my favorite planes in all of Magic, Kaladesh. Kaladesh, for those who don't know, is a plane that is technological advanced to the point where people build grand structures using a resource known as Aether. Aether is everything. Aether is born of life and can be harnessed and put to use in crafting of great machines. And we see this in said dwarves with veteran motorists and gearshift ace. Basically, the dwarves like to make vehicles, use the aether to power the vehicles, and make them go fast. And these are best seen in the two well-known dwarves of the plane, Saram, Senior Edificer, and Depala, Pilot Exemplar. Depala likes to make really, really fast vehicles. She wants to go as fast as possible, a lot like Sonic the Hedgehog. Saram is more of the architectural type, helping build great spires and buildings of the plane. And next we go to one of my other favorite planes, maybe even more than the last one, good old Kaldheim. So, Kaldheim is based on Norse mythology. It has the 9 realms of Norse mythology, the demon realm, realm of the gods, the realm of the dead, etc., etc. The dwarves populate many of these realms and are fairly well known across the plane for being exquisite crafters and fighters, which we can see here in Ascended Cavalry. Now, being a Ritalin dwarf, and many other Ritalin dwarfs, they're prone to bursts of wild inspiration, and they can get absorbed into their current projects. They're extreme workaholics. But once they complete, they can produce weapons of staggering power. Hammers that split the earth, blazing hot swords that melt armor with a swing, and javelins that searing bolts of lightning follow them in their path. And on the other hand, we have the White Dwarves of Kaldheim. Now, the White-Line Dwarves, they're methodical and detailed. They follow a discipled process capable of finer, more nuanced work than their red-line kin. Beautiful jewelry, armor that makes the wearer invisible, change form from wolf tears are examples of their fine handiwork. They're very particular and don't like to show their work until it's done. But once it's done, it's really good. And we see this in Noel the Forge Master. Noel created a sword for the god of battle of the plane. Said sword could actually tear rifts into the different layers of Kaldheim. And another well-known dwarf of the plane is Magda, Brazen Outlaw. Magda is the leader of a band of outlaws. And this band has trained dragons of all things, which is really, really cool. Next, we work into Eldraine. So, Eldraine is another fairy tale inspired plane, but instead of being more Brothers Grimm and the darker, more scarier kinds of, of fairy tales, it's your more light, whimsical Tolkien stuff. And the dwarves are no different. Hailing in the mountains of Embrith, most, all of them actually, are red aligned. The dwarves of the plain are they're industrial artists. They value hard work and independence. They're miners, jewelers. They control over natural resources, and it's one of the most important aspects of their society. While they highly value their ability to take care of themselves and pull their weight, they live by strength of numbers, and they live in tight knit family groups. Their households are underground, of course, and far away from natural light. Now, the most well-known dwarf of the plain is, in fact, Torbrand. Torbrand is a thane of Redfell, which, as I stated, castle the Embrith Mountains. He is your well-known diplomat and dilatory to the other things, and all around a nice guy. Next, we head to another favorite of my plains, Strixhaven. So, the dwarves of Archivos, which is the name of the plane, it's Harry Potter, basically. And most of the dwarves of the plane go into the College of Lorehold. So, College of Lorehold is their goal is to study the past, be it artifacts or even the spirits of the past, such as Seeing, Radiant Scroll Wielder, and Dig Site Engineer. The Scroll Wielder's abilities show them digging into the past, aka your graveyard, for spells. The Dig Site Engineer being able to create artifact creatures, or digging up said artifacts. Now, the most well-known dwarf of the plane is Hotfree. Hotfree he's a higher level member in the College of Lorehold. He's basically like a prodigy. He can summon spirits with the flick of his wrist, and is quite renowned in said college. Now, we go to a strange plane of Ogathra. So Ogathra is interesting. It's a dark and desolate place filled with vampires and other of the kin. The dwarves of the plane arrived in an underground portal from an unknown world. They made a city called New Freedom. Um, on top of it, they had the Castle of the Morning Light. A good chunk of the dwarves went to explore the rest of the plane in their ships, but sadly, when they were away, Baron Singer, a well-known vampire of the plane, and his minions invaded New Freedom, chasing away the dwarves and transforming the Princess Irene into a vampire. And sadly, that's about all we have heard. Though, another well known dwarf of the plane who shows up later in the timeline is Rekvika. Rekvika is a sea dwarf. She is a director of a wizard school on the floating islands, and her skills of sorcery are really good. But yeah, the plane has sea dwarves, which is not something you see quite often in dwarven society and fantasy. I mean, most people hear dwarves and they think underground. But the fact that there are sea dwarves is really, really cool in my opinion. Next, we head to Dominaria. Oh boy, Dominaria. Dominaria has a bunch of dwarves. We got different tribes. We got the Jurama dwarves, who allied with centaurs. And they live they live near Zafar, and they have a gold mine that, thanks to the dwarves, is producing gold like an amazingly amount. And then we have the Parderic dwarves. The Parderic dwarves, they live in the Parderic Mountains on the continent of Otaria, alongside human barbarian tribes. They're hardy miners, drought warriors. They are highly passionate and have explosive personalities. Unfortunately, the Cabal invaded invaded them, enslaving most of them. There was an event that happened, and it's unknown if many of them survived. Now, the most well-known dwarf of that area is Bathalor. Bathalor is he was the teacher of the planeswalker Kamala and Jessica, which unfortunately, after everything happened, Baylor was killed and then resurrected. And next, we have the Sedaean Dwarves. So, the Sedaean Dwarves are interesting. See, the Sedaean Dwarves have access to a magical clay that can help them create clay idols and warriors. They were well-known traders, but their biggest history in magic is with none other than Urza himself. You see, Urza, during the Brothers' War, needed help creating an army to fight against Mishras. So he went to these dwarves and was like, "Hey, I hear you guys know how to make clay warriors. Can you can you help teach me how to do that?" And they did, including helping him build a giant clay warrior to fight in the war. Now, unfortunately, they were slaughtered. A good amount were then. And then once the Ice Age hit, due to dwindling resources and the Yetis, we don't know if they ever survived this. Next, we have interesting dwarves. Not much is known about them. They are the Serapin dwarves. They live in the Serapin Mountains, of course. So when the climate cooled, there was an influx of goblins and orcs. The dwarves' empire fell before their onslaught, but It's said in the there's a legend of the Lady of the Mountain. It is said the Lady of the Mountain found the remaining few, or she was summoned by the remaining few of the dwarves and teleported them away. It is believed by modern dwarves that they will return to save dwarven kind from a great peril, which we could see in Brothers War. And then we have one last Dwarves of Dominaria, one last interesting one, and that's the Stone Dwarves. We don't know much about them. They were blue-skinned, powerful magic of earth and fire. They had druids, but they were during the final stages of the Phyrexian invasion of Dominaria. The, the Phyrexian invasion caused a volcano in which the Wrath Stronghold, which was their base of operations, the volcano erupted, consuming the stronghold. Their leader was Sister Nadine Dumont. Nobody nobody knows what happened after the invasion. It's said it's said that they may have survived, but it's highly unlikely. But once again, my friends, the Brothers' War is coming. Will we see the Stone Dwarves again? I do hope so. And that, my friends, are the Dwarves of Magic the Gathering. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could be so kind as to like and comment on the video. And if you like this video, please subscribe. I truly love the Dwarves of Magic the Gathering. They are just a wonderful race. And with that, I will see you all next time.